It's the news none of us wanted, everyone. Bukayo Saka is going to be out for a long, long time. We don't have an exact time frame, but Mikel Arteta has confirmed it's a hamstring injury. Um, and look, the reports and rumours going around, it's just cut to the chase, are that it's about 2 months, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Now, that's coming from the ITKs, and I think that's probably to be expected because I don't think the club would ever confirm an exact time frame. They haven't really done that with anyone. I think even when talking about Mikel Marino, Arteta sort of said, yeah, it could be a matter of weeks is when he fractured his shoulder. And we were like, fractured shoulder? Like, sounds pretty serious. Ended up being about a month or over a month, but then he came back soon and then sort of initial things had said. So, look, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly how long we don't have Bukayo Saka for. As we go into the nuts and bolts of it, the quotes that have been doing the rounds on X, giving a reaction to all this, talking about the Sterling injury, that plays a part in all this. And of course, looking ahead to the January transfer window too. I just want to say best wishes to Bukayo Saka, like, and speedy recovery. And, it's a bit weird to say, I hope you're all right, but yeah, I hope he's all right. Obviously, don't know the bloke personally, but this is someone, let's just remember Bukayo Saka's story for a second that we know as a first team player, right? From a 17, 18-year-old getting an opportunity under Unai Emery, and then Mikel Arteta made him a much more key figure. And he has played relentless minutes in this Arsenal team ever since he broke onto the scene. And he's played left back, he's played centre mid, he's played left wing back, he's played left wing, he's played right wing, he's played in the 10, he's played just about anywhere you could have asked him to. He's played for England in that time. He's already played at 3 major tournaments for England. And the kid's what, 22, 23? And I say kid, I mean, look, he's an adult, but they're still young, these players. They need looking after. And I've been saying for a long, long time that I don't think he's getting enough rest. I don't think we've rotated enough, and that we've sort of been able to take him in and out of the 11 in the way other clubs have managed to much more successfully with some of their key players. I know that big players play a lot of big minutes, and that's a part of the job. And Mikel Arteta's made that point himself. But I can't help but feel that he's a big player, but he was also still a big player in the making. And a lot of football, not so much this season, because this season we have been a bit more careful. We have subbed him off a lot more in games. But when I look at last season, the season before, he's played an exceptional amount of football for Arsenal, and that's to be applauded. It is to be applauded, but it's also to ask the question, why did it take so long for us to sign a backup for Bukayo Saka, only for that to really be Raheem Sterling on loan? We never, ever really addressed that position. Certainly financially, we never really did. Why were we so reluctant to, rotate the 11, especially in the last 2 seasons we were better sides? I remember playing away at Watford. This isn't the 21-22 campaign, so we weren't even title challenging side back then. We were a side that were knocking on the door of Champions League football. I was with AFTV. We had access behind in the stadium to film previews, film some really good content, and we were asked to give the 11 we wanted to see. And I remember saying I wanted Pepe to start that game. I was like, "What, Pepe? What? We need to win. What?" I was like, "Yeah, but we need to." Like, surely we're good enough to beat Watford at that time, and we needed to rotate the 11 more and not feel that we had to play Bukayo Saka for certain games. And I was saying that 3 seasons ago, like 3 years ago, this was a conversation. And the evidence out there, I could show you, I can send you the videos if you want. Like, I had concerns about how much football he was playing back then, and the fact that we never felt willing to really rotate or mix up his kind of use in this squad. This is a player who works back tremendously, is constantly getting back into a right back, right wing back spot to help protect our fullback, and yet is having to drive up the pitch, is constantly double teamed, 3-teamed, whatever, constantly players man mark him out of games, constantly fouled, constantly, rotational fouling to try and disrupt his rhythm and try and make him less effective in games. And yet he keeps putting up numbers, keeps putting up big performances, and keeps showing up. And for that, I've got all the love and respect and admiration for him. And I hope he takes a well-earned rest. I just wish he was in different circumstances. I wish Arteta was able to just give him 2 weeks off and say, look, we don't need you for these couple games, whatever it is. But that is just not how we've managed his minutes at all. And I think another reason I feel particularly frustrated about it is, as football fans, we're all, especially when we're doing media like this, I think we should always say that we don't know more than the physios and the manager and the players, and that we give an opinion, but we understand that there's another context to it, blah, blah, blah. And there's going to be so much we don't know. But it felt predictable that that there was going to be a string of injuries at some point for Bukayo Saka. And we're talking missing the end of last season. He, missed a couple of weeks this season, only just making it back for Liverpool, missing the Bournemouth away game and a Champions League tie. And now he's got this and keeping out for a couple of months. Now, any player can suffer this injury, even if their minutes have been managed perfectly. I totally get it. I didn't expect Bukayo Saka to go his whole career without an injury, obviously. But I still feel frustrated that he's played so much football, and I can't help but feel that we could have managed his minutes better. Whether this hamstring injury is because of an excess amount of football or not, I still think the point applies that we could have managed his injuries a little bit better. That's the first thing I want to say in these opening 5 minutes. We'll go through the quotes and I'll give you kind of my thoughts on everything else, chat about the January transfer window. But essentially, a big thank you to him for the massive shift he's put in. And I hope he's back. I hope he's back soon, sooner rather than later, because my word, we need him. And there was a good debate on Forever Arsenal. Who do we miss more, Ødegaard or Saka? I couldn't help but feel that Saka was the answer. I think we've actually got decent solutions to Ødegaard missing. I just don't think Arteta used them well enough in the time that we had Ødegaard out for 2 months. Now we're going to go through a similar time period without Bukayo Saka. And that's going to be very, very testing for Arsenal. Could Ranieri play right wing, says Arsenal use 7. Absolutely. Yeah, he could. And that's the solution that Turkish wants to see. Ali says Saka has been run into the ground. I totally agree with that. Star Patrol, I just want to say hello, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. So I can have more energy. I'm reacting to some disappointing news, but thank you for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. What else have we got? Baez and Jan, we'll definitely have to chat about the January transfer window. Onyeka, look, I appreciate you tuning in and appreciate the comment, and thank you. I really do appreciate it, but I really take issue with this comment. Let's chill out with all this panic. What are you telling me to chill out for? Or maybe the comment section. What are you telling us to chill out about? The fact that he is injured, that's been confirmed. He's out for a few months, that's been confirmed. So we've got a massive January set of fixtures without Bukayo Saka available to play. Am I meant to be happy about that? Am I meant to go, well, yeah, it's what it is. It happens. On we go. I mean, but also I haven't sat here once and said that my expectations for the seasons have changed, that my belief in the team has changed, that we're screwed without him. I've not said any of that either. So I can only tell you what the news is, and the news is that it's a serious hamstring injury. I can't really be any more coy about it or any less emotional than this. It's like, this is pretty bad news, people. I wish I could bring you better. This is a call to sign some players in January, says Chaitanya, and I totally agree. It absolutely is. Yep, I hear that. And anyone who's saying sign Kudus, we need to splash out on Kudus. No one is flying that flag more than me. And I mean no one. I want Mohamed Kudus at this football club. Ben J97 says, Saka got overplayed. Way too many unnecessary minutes and starts. Now, just to give some context to this, someone tweeted, and I was trying to find the tweet because I wanted to show you it here, but I couldn't find it. Someone tweeted that he has played something like 60, and this is a bit of a tongue twister. Well, not really, but follow me. He's played 60, 90 minutes less than De Bruyne. And I don't know if that was in the Premier League or in his career, but one of the two. So he's 60, 90s behind De Bruyne. That is extraordinary, if that's true. That is an extraordinary stat, if that's true. That he is 60 full 90 minutes completed. So no, not total minutes. I'm not talking if you add the minutes, how many 90s are in there. I think it's a case of how many times has he started and finished a full 90 minutes? He's done it X amount of times. Well, he's 60 behind the total. De Bruyne has done that. And De Bruyne has got, what, 7 years on him? 8 years, maybe? That is concerning. That is an example of not the amount of games he's playing, but actually how we could have managed him better in terms of being able to bring him off more, recognizing the game was done, realizing the game requires something differently, maybe something defensive that someone else could have given us over Saka. And yeah, I'm disappointed that we haven't managed him better at all. Let's go into share my screen for a sec. Now, actually, this came through just on the top of what I was talking about. Henry Winter said, wishing Bukayo Saka a swift recovery and wishing FIFA and UEFA would wake up to PFA and FIFA Pro warnings over player workload. Saka's played 144 games for Arsenal and England since August 2022. Wow. Often the full 90 minutes and frequently at high intensity. Something was always going to give. Saka's hamstring is now given away and he will be out for many weeks, Mikel Arteta says. Frustrating for player, club and country. Players are very well paid and get the best medical care, but they remain flesh and blood, bones and soft tissue. The intense season with more and more fixtures and with no winter break means thoroughbred players will continue to go lame. We wouldn't treat racehorses like this, he says. Look, it's an extraordinary... What he's saying there about the amount of minutes we've played, what he's saying there about the amount of minutes that have been played for Bukayo Saka, and just giving context to all that, and everyone who's trying to speak against the amount of football people are playing, players are playing, I think he's got a really good point about that. Okay, here we go. Before I go to the rest, Leachy says, sorry, James, you're chatting rubbish about managing his minutes. We've done a good job considering this is his very first longer term injury. Leachy, we can't know if the hamstring injury would have happened anyway, or if it's because of the amount of minutes that have been played. But we have done so many videos. I mean, it's all on the Goonerverse. I've done so many videos going through the data of the amount of minutes that others have played compared to Bukayo Saka. Others in his position, others who are of a similar age, whatever it might be. And he is always playing well in excess of those minutes. Always. He always comes out as quite significantly the most played, if not one of the most played players. I don't think you can possibly, with data, with eye tests, with anything, not think this guy hasn't played too much football. I just don't think you can possibly think that. I mean, look, it's a game of opinions, so of course you can, and I'll respectfully disagree, and that's fine, and we can have different opinions, but come on, who now today doesn't think that Bukayo Saka hasn't played too much football? We've just seen it all the time. Here we go, another one. I need you all to stop with this weak mentality. Players of Saka's caliber will always play because they're talent. It's how the game goes. Did he need to start? I'll go back to this example. He was injured against I can't remember. I think he came off against Tottenham, I think. I can't remember who it was. He then Bournemouth. I think it was Bournemouth. Last season. He then starts away in the Champions League to who did we play? Who did we play? It wasn't Nice. Was it Nice? Can't remember. Starts away in the Champions League, having come off in the game before. He ends up coming off in that game, and then he can't start the weekend against Man City. Like, is that not an example of we could have managed his minutes a little bit better? I don't know. Go through super chats in a sec, everyone, and we'll go through what everyone else is saying because, yeah, there are some people saying that it could be 6 to 8 weeks, although Leachy has replied, so let's go to his reply. You can compare similar position or similar player, but sports science data would have shown Saka's physique and muscle depth could handle the minutes we have landed in with. Leach is why I always say that, of course, there are physios out there who will know so much more than us. Of course there are. Like, absolutely. But, again, like... Our sports science or our physios might be saying one thing, yet we can see that other players Foden's minutes have been managed, perfectly as he's grown it. Now, City didn't need Foden to play as much football, but we never put ourselves in the right position in the transfer window. We could afford not to play Bukayo Saka. That's my frustration. Anyway, I'm going around in circles. Let's go to the news now. My point is, and I'm sorry, people, I appreciate your comments. I'll read them out. You're not going to, change my mind massively on it. I just think he's played too much football, and I've been convinced of that for years. James compares Salah minutes to Saka. Now, Salah's one of the few who actually his minutes are exceptionally high, I think, when I looked at the data. But the difference with Salah is he came into Liverpool at the age of 26, I think. So I think you've got to look more at Foden, Grealish, Sterling, De Bruyne, Rashford. Who else? I mean, other players have that. Again, I've done this before on other videos. If I find the data, I will. And Leachy, respect to you too. He says, big respect, James. I'm not trying to be a pain, just interested. No, absolutely, man. And, I personally strongly disagree. You make some good points and I hear it. But I personally disagree, but I appreciate the conversation. And yeah, no, it's good to have spirited debate, and I appreciate the comments coming in, man. And the super chats are coming in too. I appreciate, but let's just go through the news really quickly and what has been said. So Mikel Arteta confirms that Saka is not looking good. He's going to be out for many weeks. He says it's a huge blow, but it's going to be a big exercise for us to overcome another challenge. There's a great tweet at the end of all this I want to go through. In terms of January signing, says my intention right now is to get the best out of what we have. He's always going to say that. Don't take that as we are or we aren't. He was just always going to say that. On replacing Saka, he says, I'm putting some ideas together. We will be doing new things as we did when Erdegaard was out. Gabby played there, Waneri and Trossard. Also, Havertz can play there. We will talk internally and see what the best solution is. My favourite solution is Waneri. The likely solution is Jesus. Sterling is injured too. We'll talk about that. Here it is. Mikel Arteta says that Raheem Sterling will also be out for weeks. He suffered an injury. It's his knee. He'll be assessed again in the next few days to understand how long he will be out for. And then there's a tweet. We'll get to this in a sec. But there's this tweet here, which I just think sums up the whole Sterling injury so well. He says it's not just the injuries, it's the sequence the injuries are happening that's so funny. Like 4 or 5 times already this season, both the starter and the immediate backup in a position have gotten injured at the same time, says Danny. He's absolutely spot on. And let's come to this in a second, but he's absolutely spot on. And this is what annoyed me about the discourse around the Liverpool game, where people were like, you barely have any injuries. Gabby was fit to play, and Timber returned. Actually, Gabriel was always going to be fit, wasn't he? Anyway, Timber returned, and Saka was fit to play, and everyone else, you still got Rice all season, blah blah. And it annoyed me because I was just thinking, like, yeah, but Saliba had the suspension. Okay, our fault. Ben White was playing through an injury, as we know. Saka and Sterling were rushed back. Then Gabriel has to go off injured, and you're ending up with an 18-year-old midfielder at left back, and you're like 6th or 7th or 8th choice centre back in the back four there, and a right back, a central midfielder and Partey at right back. It's not that we've had like a colossal amount of injuries. Others have had as many, if not more. It's actually that we've had it so focused on one position at times. It's that we've, like Tomiyasu's out, and Ben White and Calafiori have had problems. It's the one area where he would have covered, and that's the area we've had more problems. And then Zinchenko gets injured, so Lewis Skelly's now being asked to play football, and he looks really good, probably our best left back. But yeah, it has been like all concentrated into one area so often. And it's been really, really frustrating. Now, Team News and Ticks, of course, been very reliable on the ITK front. Says now people are reporting it'll be 8 weeks. I'm told that is a bare minimum, and the likely is we won't see him until March. So strap in. And then this was interesting as well. Connor Hum reporting that we started the season with one of the thinnest squads in the Premier League. A quote from Mikel Arteta, with George, who you all know from the Canon, saying a clear public statement to look at the board and place the onus on them. I'm not getting the feeling that things are all sunshine and roses behind the scenes. That is a clear call to action to release the funds. Some really, really good points being made there by everyone. And I totally agree. We'll go through super chats in just a sec, but I just want to also let you know that there'll be a video coming tomorrow. It's an all I want for Christmas vid, transfer special. Basically, players that would be significant investments that could genuinely make a difference, that would play in the front three, that I think Arsenal need to really, really look at now, between now and, throughout the January transfer window. So look out for that. I'll be bringing some options, and Thursday's video will also be. It was meant to be today's video actually, but we'll talk about the Saka thing, and we'll talk about Arsenal from a tactical perspective ahead of the game on Friday. So on Thursday there'll be a tactics video, looking around what we did with the diamond, the Cruyff diamond shape, Havertz in the 10, and all that. So yeah, have a little look out for that, everyone. Let's go through your super chats before we round up. YouTube user says Jesus' form put right winger Havertz up top until Jan. I think that is likely what's going to happen. Aaron says, imagine Jesus on the right and switching spots with either Trossard or Martinez during the game. Arteta can't run Saka into the ground anymore. Yeah, Jesus could have played more football on the right. I totally agree. And actually, if you play them both, so Jesus on the right, Martin on the left, they could alternate in game, and actually could be quite fluid, quite good to watch. Elliot says, a big fan of your work and analysis, mate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you could sign anyone in Jan to bolster the squad, who would it be? I would go big on Mohamed Kudus. I would. I'd go to big funds, 100 million. I'm being deadly serious. I think he's going to be that good. I think he could be that good. And it's become more pressing now. He's got a release clause for 85 million in in the summer. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. Michael says, you Odegaard with Odegaard out the system, need to change. We don't have a direct replacement. With Saka, we have wingers. So I think what you're saying is we have sort of other players that can come into Saka's position, whether they're as good as not or not. But without Odegaard, we didn't actually even have anyone at all. So I get your point, Michael. And this one. Love you too, Dan. Appreciate it. Guys, we're going to round it off there. Big thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the super chats. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Hit the like button if you did enjoy this stream. If you did, if you want to be kept up with all the content we're doing this week, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. If you would, and if you're interested in keeping up with all the latest news around Arsenal, everyone, a big thanks. Super appreciate it. And Bukayo Saka, best wishes, speedy recovery, be back soon because we need you. But Arsenal, you know what we need to do in January. There's no excuses now.